Greetings, family. How's everyone doing tonight? Are my witches tuning in yet? Yeah, I want my witches to tune in.
Magnetic Kundalini, a tarot instructor, the master of the occult arts, and a self-proclaimed witch, Baruel. But his mother named him Shannon. He would record and perform some of his rituals on camera. His Facebook followers gravitated towards the things he did and would say and offered. He referred to his followers as witches. He could even bring out your inner witch for a small fee. I don't know how many followers he had before he was the lead prime and only person in the disappearance of a missing woman that he was last seen with. But he became a suspect, and fast. But I know the curiosity had got to many, and his Facebook page has grown since. His public Facebook page as of August 15th, 2020 has been silent. 39-year-old Shannon Ryan isn't normally a silent man. Shannon the Witch would engage his followers with stories of just how exactly he came to know the missing woman. He said he met her a year prior, in 2019. But most was tuned in to what happened to the days leading up to her becoming a missing person. In Shannon's own words, "It was raining really bad, thundering and lightning. There was a knock on the door around 2:30 in the morning. A young woman was standing there. It's like she appeared out of nowhere. She was carrying a very small child. She said she was having car trouble. She said she needed to use the phone. He said she needed shelter. Though he already had another woman there by the name of Tiffany and her small child living with him, he couldn't turn his back on them. 21-year-old Leela Cavett and her 1-year-old son Camden were welcomed. The next day, Shannon says Leela would tell the truth. A female friend had left her and Camden stranded, leaving all her belongings behind. The woman of the house had taken Leela and her son to local shelters. They dismissed her. She wasn't allowed there anymore. She'd been there before and she was very disruptive and she had to leave. He said Leela and her son ended up staying with them for 2 months. He provided shelter and food. Leela said she could go on dating sites and get money to help with the finances at the house. Shannon told her that she did not have to do this. He said he wanted nothing from her. As he got to know her, she really didn't have anything else to offer. It seems as if Leela was going through hard times. She couldn't turn to her family. They were cruel to her, she said. She even said that she had been homeschooled with her siblings, and she had been sexually abused by both of her parents when she was younger. She didn't want her son to grow up in that atmosphere, like the one that she had grown up in. He observed her during her stay there. He said that she was an unfit mother, but she clearly loved her son. She meditated. He taught her witchcraft. He said that she was a natural-born witch, and that she was a powerful witch. She just needed to bring it out of her. That was his protege, so to speak. He also said that Leela never knew a stranger. She loved to get in and out of strange men cars for monetary gain. She said that she kept her son with her. She believed that no harm could come to her as long as her son was there, and that they wouldn't turn her down knowing that she needed something for her son. He describes a situation where Leela had walked a mile to the nearest store, and when she returned back, she was in a car with a strange man. This became the norm. Shannon just begged for her to leave her son at the house because it wasn't safe, but she wouldn't. He recalled a day that she came in and told Shannon that she would be back in 2 days. He couldn't stop her if he wanted to. He didn't realize that when Leela left, she left with a lot of his things, including his cat that Leela slept with. He did add that the cat may have ran away. When she returned after her 2-day hiatus, she didn't even ask where the cat was, didn't even look for him. Shannon knew then that she had stolen the cat. They argued. She cried. He put her out. Then he said he took one look at her son, who was crying too. He said the little piece of his heart that he had left, Leela had broken it. He allowed her back only because of her son, but he was hoping that she would change. He says he was a liar and a thief too. He had spent 15 years in prison. But if he changed, he knew that she could too. Towards the end of Leela's stay, he had even manifested a vehicle for her. He said it took him 2 weeks to do that. Shannon basically said he had done everything that he could for her. However, when Leela left for the second time in that manifested car, a lot of Shannon's things had left again with her. Crystals, oils, etc. He called Leela angrily. He told Leela to return his things, or he would put a hex on her. She told him she had nothing that belonged to him. He put a hex on Leela, nothing to harm her, he said. She would just basically remain homeless, and people would try to take her son until everything that she stole from him had been returned. So, Shannon continues with his crafting, performing rituals, and helping his followers seek fortune and abundance. He said he had spoken with Leela off and on. He temporarily left Alabama and was now in Hollywood, Florida. He had an intern by the name of Christina who was supposed to accompany him to the Everglades. But now he was in the process of treating her holistically and magically, he says. But Christina was not getting well. She was battling some serious health problems. She had just had a heart transplant that rejected her body. She ended up with pneumonia and was diagnosed with cancer. Shannon had to take her to the hospital. The hospital wasn't allowing him to see her because of COVID restrictions. He refused to leave Christina while she was in the hospital. He said that she had no family, no support, and that she was alone. He wasn't going to leave Florida without her. Meanwhile, Child Welfare was looking into the claims of Leela being an unfit mother. She was still homeless and staying with anyone, state to state, couch to couch, wherever she could. Now living with a man that she had just met, still keeping in contact with Shannon. After several months, all was forgiven. At least that's what you're left thinking. Leela's still not doing well, but traded in her manifested car for a Chevy Silverado truck. Showing pictures of her truck to Shannon. He wanted it. He offered to buy it. She declined. Then they agreed $3,000 for the sale of Leela's truck. She would help him in Key West in the Everglades to get supplies such as herbs where the alligators swam. He would eventually help her find a place to stay. It looked like things were off to a good start, and that all was for. The 8-hour trip took 4 days. Shannon was skeptical of Leela, thinking she was going to scam him like she had done to many others, including stealing from him twice. Where had she been all this time before arriving to Hollywood, Florida? He even wondered, was his truck really hers, or was it stolen? But she arrived. He says they hugged, or he thinks they hugged. She parked her truck and got in his car, and all three, including Camden, had left in his gold Lexus. He says he had given Leila the $3,000 in cash for the truck. He would give her an additional $500 after she helped him clean it. Shannon treated Leila and her son to a big feast on the beach. They smoked weed and got high. He recalls having to tell a bunch of young men in a car to leave Leila alone, while she was just being her very friendly self. Anyway, Leila and Camden hung out on the beach. He went to work out. The three would eat again at the Cheesecake Factory. Now, all three are at the racetrack. Shannon sees that Leila is talking to several black men in a dark-colored sedan. Leila says she knows that. She tells Shannon that she will be back and that she plans to sleep in a truck. Shannon goes to his Lexus to go to sleep and to wait for Leila, who never shows up. He gets the feeling that he will just be going to the Everglades without her. A window had been recently broken out of the truck. He takes a trash bag from his own car and he heads over to the truck. When he arrives, police would swarm around him. They started to question him. He was in fear that Leila had sold him a stolen truck. They had even asked Shannon, would Leila abandon her son? He says no. He shows the police all the text messages between the two when she had claimed to be on her way to Florida, which had taken her 4 days. It's odd. The police made him text Leila as if he was upset with her, telling her that she could come get her truck and that he didn't want it. He says he wasn't even mad at Leila. They made him put the truck keys underneath the seat. He said he did what he was told. The police had surveillance on this truck and was hoping that Leila would show up to it. They asked to search Shannon's car. He allowed them. He explained to the police that Leila had jumped in a dark-colored sedan with several black men. He told her that it wasn't safe. She said that she knew them. He told the police to check the cameras at that service station. They would see that he was telling the truth. Shannon thought that maybe she did know these guys. He believed that she had been in Florida longer than what she told Shannon. Who knew? She had met maybe some guys at the beach while he was working out. Because remember, Leila knows no strangers. He did tell police that he was the last person to see her, but that he was waiting on her. He even explained about his intern that was currently hospitalized. He tells them that he's waiting for her too. He assured the police that he was heading to Key West to finish some business. He's basically a dweller at this point. He will sleep on the beach, in his car, sometimes get a room. The police said that he was free to go, and he left. Shannon says about 20 minutes later, the police called him and asked if he could come back to the parking lot where the truck was at. He told them that it would have to be in the morning. He would delay his trip to the Everglades, which he was en route to. His intern at the hospital had called him in tears, which upset him. She told him that the police had stopped by, asking her questions about him, not Leela, and that they wanted her phone. She refused to give it to him. Shannon couldn't believe that the police were harassing a woman who he now describes as dying. Shannon believed whatever was going on with Leela, authorities were making him a part of it, and he refused to let them quickly wrap this case up with him as the only suspect. He's black, COVID is here, and we are in the times of, quote, I can't breathe, end quote. And he is not very trusting of the police. He did not return. On July 26, at the Willowbrook Apartments, a small child was wandering around unattended, wearing only a t-shirt and a dirty diaper, barefooted. Resident Ebony Williams found him and contacted the police. The picture of the curly-haired boy was shown on the news outlets and shared over and over again. He was taken to the hospital where he received a medical examination and placed in foster care. It was Camden. But where was his mother? Some news reports say that Leela had abandoned her son, but anyone who knew Leela knew that this was not true. In news reports, Leela's family said that was out of character. That wasn't like her at all. This isn't something that she would have done. Even Shannon, who's very questionable at times, said that Leela loved her son and that she would never abandon him. While in foster care, Camden's family came forth immediately, some driving over 800 miles only just to speak to the police. A man had came forward and said he wasn't the father, but a father figure. He would take him. The family knew him. A man said he was the biological father. He came forward. He said he would take Camden. The family also knew who he was. There was a discussion that he would take the DNA test. Leela's sister was also interested in the custody of her nephew. So, it was no doubt here. At least we know that there were people who were stepping up and ready to care for this child until they could find his mother. Again, on August 15, 2020, that was Shannon's last Facebook post. He was arrested heading towards North Texas by the FBI. He was charged with the disappearance of Leela Cavett and the kidnapping of her son Camden. He says that he was not guilty. But where is Leela?